Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. Today we got an absolutely massive update, not in terms of size, but in terms of changes it brings to gameplay for Warzone 2. Now, this is just a hotfix update. You don't have to download anything for this one. There's no title update associated with this. You'll just have to go through the whole update requires restart screen for this update whenever you get on next. But this changes core fundamental gameplay for Warzone 2 in a major way. So Raven ended up posting this tweet here today, and towards the end of the video we're going to talk about how some very big changes are likely going to be happening here to Warzone 2 soon. But Raven ended up tweeting, have a holly jolly Warzone 2. It's the best time of the year. I don't know if there will be snow, but have a loadout drop grenade. So the rhyming could use some work, but what we got here is a loadout drop option, now available at buy stations across all Mazras. So loadout drops, my friends, are officially back, just like back in Warzone 1, but honestly maybe even in a better way. So this is actually a little thread here from Raven. Loadout drop grenades are currently enabled in Battle Royale for players to purchase via buy station. The pricing though is different for every single mode that you're in. So if you're playing solos, it costs $8,000 to get a full-on loadout. Now keep in mind, just yesterday they ended up changing the primary weapons and the custom gun prices in Warzone 2. So now universally, whether you're in solos, duos, trios, or quads, if you want one custom primary, it only costs $2,500 instead of $5,000. If you want two, it would just cost you $5,000. But then if you're playing solos, let's say, it's still $2,500 for a custom gun. But if you want that second gun plus perks plus equipment, keep in mind perks still don't fully work, but that'll be $8,000, so a slight price increase. For duos, it'll be $16,000 if you want a full-on loadout, primary, secondary if you're overkilling both primaries, perks, and equipment. Trios, $24,000, quads, $32,000. So I actually do like this sort of price increase. Obviously in trios and quads, it's going to take more to get that full loadout drop for every single player on your team, right? But this also incentivizes looting up more early game, landing at spots where you know we're going to have good cash, the shops with the cash registers, if you know where some of the radiation crates are around the map. Also doing things like the safecracker contracts or hunting down some intel or some bounties early game so that you can secure that cash very quickly. This to me is a really cool concept. Obviously it's still not super easy to get your loadout drop, but if you don't want to go and do a stronghold and have to fight the ridiculous powerful bots sometimes, or if you don't want to, you know, wait for that second zone, you can easily get $32,000 quickly if you're actively searching out contracts and doing money. They also end up saying the continuity of this feature will depend on feedback we receive and overall impact on the Battle Royale experience in Warzone 2. So likely this is going to be a feature that they analyze now for the next couple of weeks. Obviously later on this week, Raven and Infinity Ward and everyone else from Call of Duty is going to head out on holiday break per usual, and they'll be back after the new year. Now, during that time, they're going to see exactly what goes on with Warzone 2's player base. I'm sure right now they have tons and tons of back-end data saying, all right, we have this many players online on this day when we made the change to loadouts. It brought a lot of players back. They played for this amount of time, and then, you know, maybe that wasn't as long as we wanted them to play. Maybe we want to have them be more engaged for longer, so let's try this. If they end up playing for longer and there's more players on and they're engaging more with the game because of this loadout change, it'll probably stay. Now, if players get on and, you know, they're not playing, you know, for as long, or if they're not actually going for these loadout drops and they don't end up being a huge thing in game, then they might end up, you know, reverting this back to just loadouts in the strongholds, loadouts in the free zone, so on and so forth. So this is not a permanent feature per se, but one that is currently in the game now that they're going to test over the coming days and weeks, which I think is really cool. Now, shout out to the man Maverick, because he actually posted this the other day, and I, curiously enough, before this update went live this morning, was getting ready to make a video for later on this week talking about how I think some very big changes are going to be coming to Warzone 2 here in the future, because this is two different blogs from Call of Duty. They are 4 days apart. You can see in this first blog it says Warzone 2 are published by Activision. Development for both games is led by Infinity Ward. That would be MW2 and Warzone 2. This was the first blog saying that Infinity Ward is leading development on Warzone 2. 4 days later, Raven Software will handle Battle Royale and Warzone 2 updates. So it seems like what they've done is that, yeah, maybe player sentiment isn't exactly where they want it to be for Warzone 2, and thus they've given Raven now more control over Warzone 2. I mean, it's very apparent that even just over the past couple of days, we've seen more communication from Raven on Warzone 2 than we have really since launch entirely with Infinity Ward. We've seen more feedback-based changes and quality of life updates from Raven between Season 1 Reloaded and now than we have for anything for MW2 or Warzone 2 up until this point. And obviously, like I said earlier, they are going on break, so that's going to put some things on pause, but they're also going to return, and that's when I think we're going to start to see even more changes and updates. Before we get into that conversation real quick to wrap things up, just want to remind you guys, if you are new to the channel, every single day I got you covered with news, updates, class setups, tips, everything that you need to know for MW2, Warzone 2, and DMZ. So if you're interested, feel free to hit that subscribe button and turn on those post notifications. Also, if you guys enjoy this video, let me know by dropping a like on it as well. Let's try and aim for 3,000 likes on this one if you guys are hyped to see Loadout Drops back. Now, Modern Warzone ended up tweeting this, and this is basically the exact same thing that I wanted to talk about later on this week. Curiously enough, these things are just happening today, but like I said, I think when Raven gets back from the holiday break, that's when they're here, you know, full time, no breaks in the future moving forward. Obviously, they launch Warzone 2, quick break for Thanksgiving. Then they're back for a bit, break for New Year's and Christmas and the holidays. Then they're back for good, right? There's not gonna be any more breaks interrupting them in a few weeks' time. So that's when they can start to make this serious, big time gameplay changes, like health increases potentially. You know, a lot of feedback from Warzone 1 where we increased the TTK to make things more viable and gunfights more practical. When we changed a lot of things there for quality of life, that was all based on community feedback, and obviously a lot of that got reset with Warzone 2, and that's why some players are not so happy with that. These big gameplay changes, though, are naturally going to, you know, break things when they first are introduced. It's going to take time to, you know, perfect them just like it did back in Warzone 1. So you can't, you know, have the holiday break for all the devs in a week's time and be making super major gameplay changes that could potentially break the game, and then you don't have time to fix those broken things before you go on break, and then you're left with DMR zone. You're left with Krampus going crazy. So we won't see any major stuff until after the holidays. But then it seems like based on community feedback, Raven is going crazy with Warzone 2 adjustments, bringing it more back in line with what Warzone 1 gameplay would feel like. So things that we could possibly see here in the near future: a health increase. I almost fully expect this, or maybe everyone always starts out with you know, triple plates, because right now gunfights are over in the snap of a finger. It's so fast with this TTK that you sometimes can hardly react in a gunfight. So extra health or always having more plates there would end up making a very big impact. I imagine they might start with one, maybe give everyone a triple plate vest at the start, and then if the TTK is still feeling too fast, engagements are still feeling weird, then they'll go for 150 HP. Increases with cash across all mods, they actually talked about that in our dev meeting with Raven and Infinity Ward. They want to increase the cash so that they end up you know, having better regains later on, mid game, late game, and it's not impossible to buy your teammates back or buy custom guns or potentially even loadout drops. Sprinting while plating will be an interesting one. I don't necessarily think that'll come back right away, and if it does, I'm curious to see how that happens, because they were pretty adamant about no sprinting while plating. We know that there's going to be more buy stations implemented on the map as well. There's also going to be looting improvements to make looting easier so that things don't stack on top of each other, and we also know the perks are very broken right now. Even though we do have loadout drops available, your bonus perks, your ultimate perks don't always work on your classes, so those should get fixed here again after the break, most likely, if I had to guess. So we're going to see some major gameplay updates here post New Year's, and it's starting already now with some big feedback things like the loadouts. So all that being said, that's going to wrap things up for this one. Huge update today. Small in size, big in effect, and big in impact as well. If you guys enjoyed the video, let me know by dropping a like on it. And if you're new here, feel free to hit that subscribe button, turn on those post notifications. That way you can always guarantee you're up to date with all things going on. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.